This week we sail to the small harbour of Tarbert in Loch Fyne. We sit out Storm Floris and entertain ourselves with some walking in the local area. Hi, we're Dave and Jude, and we sold up our home and left our jobs and our lives behind to live on board our sailboat, Anamcara. Since leaving Portsmouth on the south coast of the UK, we've had quite an adventure, visiting wild Atlantic islands, Irish pubs, spotting whales and watching motorsports. We're embracing life and all that it has to offer. Come with us as we continue to sail north and explore the UK's magnificent coastline all the way up to the Scottish Islands and beyond. We'll be exploring the lochs of Scotland and the Hebridean Islands and discover the wildlife and communities on the way. We have new videos out every Saturday, so make sure you subscribe to avoid missing an episode.
We are currently still at anchor in Loch Ridden, just north of the Bute Isles. We had a day here yesterday. We just had a very lazy day on board. Weather wasn't, well, like, it was nice and calm and we sat up on deck, but we didn't do very much. We were considering going paddleboarding, but then the wind picked up and the tide started changing, and it's quite tidal here, though we just didn't quite feel safe with that, so we left it and just got on with some boat jobs. But today we are moving around to Tarbert, hopefully, if we can get into the marina, because there's a storm coming through. I think it was something like Storm Floris, so it began with an F, I can't remember, I'll come back to you about that later. So that's coming through on Monday and Tuesday. It's currently Saturday, but the winds are due to start picking up this afternoon and into tomorrow, and rain and all of that, so we thought it was a good excuse to go to Tarbert. It'll also allow us to reprovision. We have started using some of our stock. We've used up quite a bit of our fresh stocks, so we need to get them sorted. And once we're done with that and the storm's passed and it's clear, we're probably going to go through the Crinan Canal. So we're going to assess that in the next few days while we're at Tarbert, if we can get in, and have an explore on land while the weather's quite bad. And we'll see how it goes. Such a stunning place to wake up and have a cup of coffee on deck and just be surrounded by this gorgeous view and still waters and everything lovely and calm.
Oh, we're motoring again. As you can see behind me, there's not a ripple on the water. We're leaving fairly early to get over to Tarbert, hopefully to make sure that there's a berth. People tend to leave before lunchtime. So if you arrive just after lunchtime, then there's generally more berths available than if you arrive at 5 or 6 p.m. When everybody else arrives. The British tend to finish their day at about 5, and that spills over into leisure time as well. So if you're in Cornwall on a beach, it will be absolutely packed until 5 o'clock. Everybody will then go home and eat. And then they won't go back out again. It seems to be uniquely British. The Europeans don't do it. European beaches tend to stay busy until 7 or 8 o'clock, and then everybody just goes straight to a restaurant. Anyway, so this behind me is the other anchorage that we considered when we arrived. There were 2 boats in it. It doesn't look like there's any in there now, but it's about 100-200 meters wide, similar to where we were. Rocks on both sides, very, very steep sides, and it's open at both ends, so you can kind of, at high water you can go all the way through, at low water it's blocked at one end, but there was very little room to manoeuvre in there, whereas the bay that we ended up in, you could sort of nose up to it and then turn if you wanted to, but this has got mooring buoys as well as the 2 anchored boats that were in there, so we decided against, and we've had 2 very nice nights at the place that we were at despite the strong winds, so I think it was a good choice in the end.
So we are just heading back into Loch Fyne, which is where Tarbert is, that we're heading to. Hopefully we can get a marina berth. In front of me you can see the Isle of Arran, and on the top there is the Sleeping Warrior. So we had a better view earlier, but you can just about see the helmet, the face, and then the torso. which we'll point out hopefully now. Magical Dave editing will point that out for you, and we'll show you what it should look like. As you can probably hear from that shot, we are it's the wind's picked up is what I was trying to say. We are just going into the marina and going to go into a berth. They said there's plenty of them when we get our pick, so we'll see what happens when we arrive. Hoping to go portside 2, bows in, so cross our fingers we manage that. But yeah, the wind's picked up, so we'll be getting pushed out the berth, but it should be, hopefully, cross fingers, relatively easy. Also, hopefully you can see from the footage we're currently showing that it's quite narrow coming in. It's narrower than we were at the anchorage yesterday, and it's all twisty turny to get into, and this is the first time we've been in this marina, so it's an exciting entrance. We made it into the marina quite happily, safely. The wind wasn't quite as bad as we thought it was going to be. It was on the nose, so if anything it just slowed us down on the entrance, so that was quite good. There's quite a wide, when you come into the marina there was obviously the narrow entrance, and then after that you get in and it's a bit of a basin, and there was quite a big turning circle, so we were able to come in. We were going into I guess the equivalent of a closed berth, because we were going in portside 2, bows in, but we were able to go round and then make it open on the other way. Open and closed berths, well, it's newish to me. Dave will probably be able to explain, but obviously it's about the way that you would enter the berth and whether or not you've got easy access into being which side you're going to be pushed on or off. The Yachting Monthly had an actual article on it this week, or an AI generated image that they had out, but anyway, different story. But it was good entrance, and the marina's quite nice. We've had a bit of a walk around, well, we've had showers, obviously, hair's now down and curly, and we've had a walk around the town and a bit of an explore. It's very small, but I think it will keep us entertained while we wait for this weather to come through. I think that's all I've got to say. Dave?
That's good. Sorry if it's a bit loud. Today we have Storm Floris in the UK, and this is early August, and huge storm rolling through that's going to bring up to force 10 gusts, I think was the headline figure, or 100 miles an hour wind. So needless to say, we are in a marina all tied up with extra lines on, rolling about. I don't know if you can see the rolling about in the background, and obviously very loud noises coming from all of the halyards on the boats, and it's just a very unpleasant day overall. Currently raining as well, which sort of makes it feel a lot more violent, but I think we're pretty safe. Our boat itself, there's not much moving on board. We've pulled the halyards away from the mast, so it's not even that loud on board our boat. We made sure there's southerly winds today, so we made sure that our pontoon was to the south of us, so we're getting blown away from the pontoon, which means the fenders aren't squeaking either. So we're all pretty comfortable here. It's currently about 9 o'clock in the morning. The real heavy part is going to be at about lunchtime, but I think we're in pretty good shape for it. We'll see what happens later. Just deciding whether to go out for a shower or not. Going to wait for this rain to stop before that I do go, but yeah, we'll see. Storm Floris brought wind speeds of up to 60 knots and widespread destruction across the UK. Scotland was the worst hit, being directly in the path of the storm. Although it looks windy in these shots, we only experienced about 30 knots within the harbour. Tarbert is an almost perfect harbour to weather a storm, and not only has great protection but also good pubs and restaurants and a well-stocked shop. from where we are in Tarbert, which is technically in East Loch Tarbert, which is just off of Loch Fyne, for those not familiar with the area, it's possible to walk just a mile to West Loch Tarbert, which is an Atlantic facing loch on the other side of the Kintyre Peninsula. So today we've put our backpacks on and we're walking from the east coast to the west coast, and it's going to take only about an hour because there's a very thin piece of land here as the two lochs kind of align for obviously geological reasons. There would have been a glacier that cut one bit through, and the hill that we're on either has been put back since with kind of erosion and just build up of sediment, or possibly it was never carved out fully. We don't know, and we're not going to look this fact up. Jude's lagging behind for some reason. So yeah, gonna go exploring. There should be a cafe at the other end. Sorry, you were saying?
There was a tiny house. Like a really tiny house.
Jude is very easily amused sometimes. So yeah, we'll see what we see and take some footage and show it to you if there's anything good. So Garmin says we are 23 minutes in, and we're already at Loch West Tarbert Head, I assume it's called. Seems to be how the naming goes of these things. So that was a really short walk to get to the head of the Western Loch, and this loch here is completely open to the Atlantic Ocean, which I think is like 10 miles ahead of us, so we won't be able to see that today. But it's quite interesting that the Crinan Canal, which we're planning to go through, is 7 miles long, and this was less than a mile. It seems odd that there isn't a canal here to get to, given that this sea level will be the same sea level the other side. So, you know, if you built a canal, you wouldn't really need many locks or anything. So I guess it's too far down the Kintyre Peninsula. But yeah, quite interesting that it would have been such a short canal to make and nobody did. And comment down below if you have any idea why that might be, but we don't.
We ended up going down the wrong road because it looked like it was a cut through, so we turned around, carried on the main road that we were walking up, and now we've got to the the end of the pavement. So from now on it's either walking on the road, and it's a 60-mile-an-hour A road in England. A
busy A road with lorries and
because it's the one, it's going down all the way to Campbelltown. Yeah. So it's going right to the end of the Kintyre Peninsula, so it's quite busy. So we've decided not to risk that, and we're just going to walk back. So we did see the loch, which was part of our aim anyway, so that was good. A few sunken boats, not sure we want to venture this way. But we're now going to turn back and go back to Tarbert and find some lunch there instead. Anything?
Yeah, just failed to get to the cafe we were aiming for lunch, so hopefully we'll get lunch somewhere else.
With time on our hands during the storm, we explored the area. Tarbert Castle overlooks the harbour and is a pleasant walk to the top of the hill for some exercise. The castle dates back to the 14th century, although it's seen many changes in the years since. Today, all that remains are two sides of the tower. Next to the castle is a woodland walk with artworks and a maze to pass the time. Thanks for watching, and please join us next week when we sail to the Crinan Canal and enjoy a few days of calm water inland on our way to the Hebridean Islands. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode.